Hey everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive.
Yes, welcome.
We're going to be talking about the Australian Digital Capability Framework.
That's right.
And
Which is a pretty fascinating thing.
it is.
Yeah.
So I guess for someone who's listening who might not be super familiar with this framework,
Sure.
what is it?
Well, it's really a roadmap for how to be successful in this world that we live in where everything's becoming more and more digital.
Okay.
So it's all about those skills you need for work, for education, even just navigating everyday life.
Okay, so it's not just about technical skill.
No, not at all.
It's broader than that.
It's really thinking about how to thrive
Okay,
in this digital world.
cool. And there are 5 key areas of capability
That's right.
that are outlined in the framework. So we can jump into all of those,
Starting
starting with information and data literacy.
yes.
So I think everyone's had this experience where you go online and there's so much information.
Overwhelmed, right?
It's just overwhelming. How do you even begin to sort through it all?
Well, and that's exactly why this first area is so important.
Right.
It's not just about finding that information. It's about knowing how to filter through it all.
Okay.
How to assess it, how to figure out what's reliable, and then how to actually use it.
So it's about being discerning.
Absolutely. It's like a superpower in this age of information overload.
Yeah, and so is it more than just like Googling stuff?
Oh, way more.
Okay.
The framework actually breaks each skill down into 8 levels of proficiency.
Wow.
So you can kind of think of it like leveling up in a video game,
Okay.
but for real life digital skills,
I like that.
you know?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So you can be a beginner or you can be a total expert.
Yeah. So let's say someone's just starting out. What would be an example of something they might be doing in this area at a basic level?
Well, imagine you're just starting out.
Yeah.
You're learning how to organize files on your computer. Like making sure your downloads aren't just a jumbled mess.
Right.
Or figuring out how to bookmark websites you need to come back to. It's building those foundational habits.
Okay. So pretty basic stuff.
Yeah,
But important.
absolutely.
What about someone who's maybe a few levels up? How do those skills get more advanced?
So at a more advanced level, you're not just organizing information, you're evaluating it.
Right.
Imagine someone who can quickly scan a website and tell if it's credible, or someone who can spot fake news a mile away.
That's a good one.
You know, these are the kinds of skills that become crucial as you navigate the online world.
Yeah, so you're not just consuming information, you're being critical about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Becoming a critical thinker.
And then at the very top level, are we talking about like data scientists?
Basically. And
Right.
we go all the way to the top level, you find people who are basically information architects.
Okay.
They might be designing
Wow.
entire systems for managing and analyzing huge amounts of data. It's
Fair
a whole other ballgame.
So from like tidying up your digital desktop
Yeah,
to like becoming a data wizard.
it's quite a range.
That's pretty impressive.
And that's just one of the 5 areas.
Wow.
Ready to move on to the next one.
I am... Hit me with it.
All right, let's talk about communication and collaboration.
Okay.
It's way past just sending emails these
Oh,
days.
you tell me about it.
I know.
It's like a million different ways to connect online.
Absolutely. And this area of the framework dives into how we navigate all those different platforms and communicate effectively.
Right.
It's about understanding digital etiquette, collaborating on projects, and even managing your online identity.
Oh, online identity. That's a big one. Hugely for young people.
Yeah.
So what does the framework say about online identity?
Well, one of the key takeaways here is the importance of cultural and generational diversity.
Okay.
The framework actually uses the phrase
Right.
being aware of cultural and generational diversity to emphasize how crucial it is to be sensitive to different norms and perspectives online.
So it's not just about what you post.
No,
It's about who you're interacting with and how they might interpret it.
exactly.
It's about developing that awareness
Got it.
and sensitivity.
So what about someone at a more advanced level? What would their skills look like in this area?
Well, imagine someone who not only knows how to use online collaboration tools effectively,
Yeah.
but can actually teach others how to use them too.
Oh, cool.
They're leading the way, showing others how to work together in the digital space.
So they're not just collaborating, they're
Yeah.
becoming like digital leaders.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and as you move further up the levels, you find people who are facilitating large-scale online projects,
Wow.
mediating discussions, and basically shaping
That's pretty powerful.
how people interact online.
Yeah.
It's a pretty powerful skill set to have.
Okay, so we've gone from organizing information
Yeah.
to being like a digital maestro of communication. Right.
I'm ready for the next challenge.
All right.
What else is in this framework?
Well, let's talk about digital content creation.
Okay.
This is where you move beyond just consuming content
Mm-hmm.
and start making your own mark online.
Does this mean I have to learn how to code?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Although the framework does touch on
Okay.
the basics of coding,
Okay.
it's more about understanding how to create different types of content.
Mm-hmm.
So think images, videos, even written pieces.
Right.
And how to share them effectively.
Okay, so it's more than just taking a picture and putting it on Instagram.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about understanding things like copyright,
Mm-hmm.
knowing how to edit and integrate different types of content,
Okay.
and even thinking about how your creations will be perceived by others.
Yeah, so even if I'm not a professional designer, this framework can help me up my game when it comes to creating content.
Absolutely. At a basic level, you might be learning how to crop a photo
Right?
or add text to an image. But as you progress, you might start exploring video editing software
Okay.
or learning how to build a simple website.
Cool. Give me an example of someone who's really mastered this area.
Well, imagine someone who can not only create high-quality content,
Mm-hmm.
but can also explain the process to others.
Okay.
They might be leading workshops on video editing or writing tutorials on how to build a blog.
Oh,
They're sharing their knowledge and empowering others to become creators too.
so from consuming to creating.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we've got finding and evaluating information,
Mm-hmm.
communicating and collaborating,
Yep.
and now creating our own content.
Uh-huh.
What other digital superpowers does this framework have in store for us?
Well, before we get too carried away with our newfound digital prowess,
Okay.
let's talk about something a bit more grounded.
All right. Bring us back down to earth.
Protection and safety.
Ooh, that sounds important.
Yeah, because the online world isn't always rainbows and sunshine, right?
Definitely not.
So this area is all about protecting your devices, your data, your
Mhm.
privacy,
Mm.
and even your well-being.
Okay, so cybersecurity and all
Yeah.
that.
It's about staying safe
Okay.
in the digital world.
So what kind of things would someone at a basic level be working on in this area?
Well, think about those phishing emails we all get.
Okay.
Someone at a basic level would be learning how to spot those scams and avoid giving away their personal information.
Okay.
They might also be figuring out how to create strong passwords
Mm-hmm.
and keep their devices secure.
So online safety 101.
Yeah, the essential habits we all need.
Okay, and then as you level up,
Mm-hmm.
what happens?
As you move up the levels, the focus shifts to more proactive measures.
What kind of proactive measures?
Well, someone at a higher level might be looking into ways to encrypt their data
Oh.
or researching different privacy settings for their social media accounts.
Right.
They're taking control of their digital footprint.
So it's about becoming more aware of the risks.
Yes.
And taking steps to minimize them.
Exactly.
And at the very highest levels, are we talking ethical hackers?
Kind of.
Okay.
At the highest level, you find individuals who are developing new strategies for cybersecurity,
Okay.
raising awareness about online safety issues, and even advocating for stronger privacy regulations.
So they're really shaping the future of online safety.
That's right. They're shaping the future.
That's amazing.
Online safety.
Okay, so we've gone from protecting ourselves to
Yeah.
almost becoming a digital guardian.
All right.
It's really interesting how this framework highlights how our skills can evolve over time.
Yeah, it's a really important point.
And that brings us to our final focus area.
That's right.
I can't wait to hear about it.
This one ties everything together
Oh,
beautifully.
What is it?
It's technical proficiency and problem solving.
Okay.
This is where you go beyond simply using technology
Yeah.
to actually understanding how it works.
Okay, so it's like being able to fix my own computer instead of having to call tech support.
Exactly.
Okay.
At a basic level, you might be learning how to connect to Wi-Fi
Okay.
or restart your router.
Yeah, those are good skills to have.
Right. But as you progress, you start to grasp more complex concepts.
So give me an example.
Okay. Imagine your internet suddenly stops working. Someone with a more advanced level of technical proficiency wouldn't just panic.
Right.
They'd start diagnosing the problem.
Okay.
They might check if it's a DNS issue.
A what?
A DNS issue, which is basically a problem with how your computer finds websites on the internet.
Oh, okay.
You
So
know?
they're not just reacting to the problem, they're trying to understand it.
Right. And as you reach those higher levels, you might find people who can build their own computers,
Wow.
write code to automate tasks,
Right.
or even develop new software applications.
Wow.
It's about taking your technical skills to a whole new level.
So from basic troubleshooting to building your own tech empire. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
This framework covers a lot of ground.
And the most amazing part is that it encourages us to keep learning and growing. It's not about reaching a certain level and stopping.
Right.
It's about embracing lifelong learning in the digital world.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
I like that.
And we'll explore that idea further
Okay.
in our next segment.
I can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Australian Digital Capability Framework.
It's great to be back.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more empowered just from thinking about all these skills.
Me too. I think it's really amazing how breaking down these capabilities into levels can make it seem more achievable.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be an expert
Yeah.
right from the start.
You can just start where you are.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's maybe zoom back in
Sure.
on one of the 5 key areas that we were talking about.
Okay.
How about information and data literacy?
Yeah, let's do it.
So that was all about how to find and evaluate and use information effectively online.
Right. And that is such a crucial skill these days.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Wouldn't you say?
Because I feel like I am constantly just like bombarded with information.
It's overwhelming.
It is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So how do we even begin to like sort through all of that?
Well, that's why having those information detective skills is so important.
Right.
And the framework really gives us a roadmap,
Okay.
starting with some really practical skills at the basic level.
Okay, so let's talk about those foundational skills.
Sure.
What would somebody be working on at like a basic level?
So let's imagine someone who is getting comfortable with navigating the online world. Maybe they're learning how to use search engines effectively.
Yeah.
Maybe even, picking up a few tricks for refining their searches.
So more than just typing a random word into Google.
Yeah, exactly. Not just hoping for the best.
Right.
And they're also starting to understand the importance of checking sources.
Okay. So they might look at a website and think, is this legitimate? Does
Mhm.
this seem biased?
So they're developing that kind of healthy skepticism
Right. Exactly.
that we need online.
Yeah.
So that's basic. And then what about someone who's at like an intermediate level?
Okay, so now picture someone who's not just finding information, but making sense of it. So they can sift through a news article
Yeah.
and identify the key facts,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's written in a complex way.
Okay.
They're also getting better at organizing information.
Okay.
So maybe they're creating folders on their computer
Right.
to keep track of different projects or research topics.
So they're really becoming more discerning about the information that they are looking at and taking in.
Absolutely. They're starting to become more aware
Yeah.
of how information can be manipulated
Right.
or presented in misleading ways.
Yeah. And that's important.
Yeah, they're developing those critical thinking skills
Yeah.
that are so crucial
Totally.
in the digital age. Okay, so then we've got basic, we've got intermediate.
Uh-huh.
What about the people who are like really killing it in this area?
Now we're talking about the information gurus.
Okay.
These are the people who can not only find and evaluate information,
Yeah.
but they can actually synthesize it
Oh, wow.
and present it
Oh,
in a
wow.
way that's clear, concise, and insightful.
So they're like taking all this raw data and turning it into something that's like
Yeah,
beautiful and understandable.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
They might be writing research papers,
Okay.
developing data visualization,
Mm-hmm.
or even creating educational materials that help other people understand complex topics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So from learning how to like use Google properly
Right.
to being like an information maestro.
There's quite a range.
That's pretty amazing.
And remember, this is just one slice
Right.
of the digital capability pie.
Okay.
We've got 4 more areas to explore.
Okay, should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. How about communication and collaboration?
Okay, cool.
Let's dive into the world of online interactions.
All right.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because we're not just talking about technical skills here.
Right.
We're talking about like social intelligence.
Yeah, because it is different
Absolutely.
communicating online than in person.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
It is, and the framework acknowledges that.
Yeah.
So what's like the basic level of this area look like?
Okay, so think about someone who's just getting comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with using different online communication tools.
Okay.
So maybe email messaging apps, video conferencing.
Yep.
They're learning how to send clear and concise messages.
Okay.
And they're starting to understand the basic rules
So
of online etiquette.
like knowing when to use an emoji.
Exactly.
Like-
And when to be a little more formal.
Right.
Right.
And maybe thinking about how their online interactions are shaping their online identity.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember how we talked about that
Mm.
awareness of cultural and generational diversity?
Right. So it's not just about what you're saying,
Yeah.
but how other people might
Yes.
be interpreting it.
Exactly. It's about being sensitive
Mm.
to different norms and
Yeah.
perspectives online.
Okay, cool. So that's basic level.
Uh-huh.
And then what about somebody who's a little more advanced? What are their communication skills starting to look like?
Now imagine someone who's not just comfortable communicating online,
Yeah.
but they actually excel at it.
Okay.
So they can tailor their communication style to different audiences and platforms.
Okay.
It might be leading online discussions, facilitating group projects,
Right.
or even mediating conflicts
Ooh,
that arise
Yeah.
in the digital space.
So they're the people that we all kind of admire,
Yes,
who can just navigate those tricky online situations
right.
and do it well.
Exactly.
And they're building strong relationships online.
And that's becoming
It's so important.
more and more important these days.
It is in both our personal and professional lives.
Yes.
Okay, so what about the people who are just like masters of this area?
Now we're talking about the digital diplomats.
Oh.
Right. These are the people who can build bridges between different groups.
Wow.
They can foster understanding across cultures
Oh.
and even lead large-scale online movements.
So they're not just communicating. They're like shaping the way that we interact online.
They're pioneers
Wow.
in the digital space.
That's pretty amazing.
And their skills are more and more valuable these days.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about finding and evaluating information, communicating and collaborating online.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is that those two areas really kind of form the foundation
Absolutely.
for everything else that we do online.
They really do.
Because you need to be able to find good information
Yeah.
and understand it,
Uh-huh.
and you need to be able to communicate
Yes.
effectively in order to do anything else.
They're the building blocks.
That's right.
Their digital capability.
Okay, so now that we've got the foundations, what's next?
Let's move on to digital content creation.
Ooh, okay.
So this is where you go beyond just consuming content and start making your own mark.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
but also a little intimidated.
I understand.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that way. They think they need to be artists or tech wizards to create digital content.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at all. The framework breaks it down
Okay.
into those 8 levels,
Yeah.
starting with really basic skills that anyone can learn.
Okay, so what are those basic entry-level skills?
Okay, so imagine someone who's just starting to experiment
Yeah.
with different content creation tools.
Okay.
They might be learning how to take better photos with their phone
Okay.
or how to add text and images to a document.
Yeah.
You know, they're exploring.
So just kind of getting familiar with the tool.
Exactly, and
Yep.
starting to get comfortable with the technology.
So it's like not being afraid to experiment and play around.
Yeah, it's about building that confidence
Okay.
and familiarity.
And then as you kind of move up the levels, what starts to happen?
So as people move up the levels, they start to explore more sophisticated tools and techniques.
Like what?
Well, someone at an intermediate level might be experimenting with video editing software,
Okay.
learning how to create animations,
Cool.
or even dabbling in web design.
Okay.
They're expanding their toolkit
Mm-hmm.
and becoming more confident
Okay.
in their ability to express themselves creatively.
Cool. So then what about the people who are like really rocking it in this digital content creation world?
Now we're talking about the digital storytellers,
Okay.
the visual artists,
Huh.
the multimedia magicians.
I like that.
You know,
It sounds very fancy.
they're pushing the boundaries
Okay.
of what's possible online,
Mm-hmm.
using technology to create immersive experiences,
Okay.
thought-provoking art,
Yeah.
engaging narratives that capture our imaginations.
So they're not just creating content. They're like creating worlds.
That's a great way to put it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're using their skills to inspire, to educate, to
Mhm.
entertain,
Yeah.
and they're leaving their mark
Okay.
in the digital landscape.
So we've got finding and evaluating information,
Hmm?
communicating and collaborating,
Yep.
creating our own content.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Well, before we move on,
Okay.
I think it's important to remember
Mm-hmm.
that the digital world isn't always a safe and welcoming place.
That's true.
Right.
We hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the scams and the
Yes.
cyberbullying and all that stuff.
Yeah. It can be a scary place.
It can be a scary place.
Yeah.
So that's why the framework has an entire area dedicated to protection and safety.
That's right.
Okay. So this is about basically protecting ourselves.
It's about protecting your devices, your data, your privacy,
Mhm.
even your well-being.
Okay, so what are some of those basic skills that people should be working on in this area?
Okay, imagine someone who's just starting to understand
Mm-hmm.
the importance of online safety.
Yeah.
So they're learning how to create strong passwords,
Okay.
how to be careful about what information they share online,
Mm-hmm.
and how to recognize common scams like phishing emails.
Right. So just basic online safety 101.
Yeah, the essential habits that
Yeah.
we all need.
And as you move up the levels,
hmm
what happens?
You start to delve into more advanced security measures.
Like what?
Well, someone at an intermediate level might be researching different antivirus software options,
Okay.
learning how to encrypt their data,
Mm-hmm.
or exploring tools that can help them manage their online reputation.
So they're taking a more proactive approach.
Right.
Instead of just reacting to
There you
things
go.
as they come up.
And they're starting to understand the broader implications of online safety,
Okay.
not just for themselves,
Right.
but for their families, their communities, even society as a whole.
So online safety isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about protecting everyone.
It's about creating a safer environment for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then at the highest level, we find those individuals who are developing new cybersecurity strategies,
Okay.
raising awareness about online threats,
Mm.
and advocating for stronger policies
Right.
to protect our digital well-being.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're like the digital superheroes.
Yeah.
Fighting for a safer internet.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's really important to remember
Mm-hmm.
that even if you don't aspire to be a cybersecurity expert,
Yeah.
a strong foundation in online safety is essential
Totally.
for everyone.
Okay. So we've got finding information, communicating, collaborating, creating content, protecting ourselves online.
Mm-hmm.
What's the final piece of the puzzle?
That brings us to technical proficiency and problem solving.
All right.
This is a good one.
Okay, I'm ready.
So this is all about moving beyond simply using technology
Okay.
to actually understanding how it works.
Okay, so it's like taking it to that next level.
Yeah, it's about being able to troubleshoot problems, to adapt to new technologies,
Mm-hmm.
and even use digital tools to innovate.
So it's like becoming more than just a user,
Exactly.
You're like-
You're an active participant.
a tech-savvy problem solver.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the basic skills that someone would be working on in this area?
So think about someone who's just starting to feel comfortable
Yeah.
with the technology that they use every day.
Okay.
So they're learning how to connect to Wi-Fi,
Hmm.
how to restart their computer,
Right.
maybe even how to install a new software program.
Okay, so just like feeling empowered to do some of those basic things by
Exactly.
yourself.
It's about building that technical confidence.
And then as you go up the levels, what happens?
Your understanding deepens, and your problem-solving skills become more sophisticated.
So give me an example.
Okay, well, someone at an intermediate level might be able to diagnose
Yeah.
and fix common computer problems,
Yeah.
maybe install and configure new hardware,
Okay.
or even build a simple website.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So they're becoming pretty tech-savvy.
they're becoming really adaptable
Yeah.
and self-sufficient.
Okay, cool. So then the people at the very top level, like what are they doing?
Now we're talking about the digital innovators,
Okay.
the tech pioneers,
Cool.
the people who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology.
So they're like creating the new technologies.
They might be developing new software applications,
Wow.
designing cutting-edge hardware,
Okay.
or even creating entirely new technologies
I love
that
it.
we haven't even dreamed of yet.
So they're shaping the future.
Yeah, they're at the forefront.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, this framework really does cover a lot of ground.
It does.
And I have to say, I'm feeling a lot more confident
That's great.
about my own digital
Oh, you're
capabilities
glad to hear that.
just from exploring this.
Well, and I think the most important takeaway
Yeah.
from all of this is that digital capability is a journey,
Okay.
not a destination.
I like that.
It's about continually learning,
Yeah.
growing, and adapting to this ever-changing
Right.
digital world.
So it's not about like reaching a certain level and then stopping.
Right.
It's about always learning new things.
It's about embracing lifelong learning
Okay.
in the digital space.
And we're going to talk more about that
We are.
in our next segment.
Yes, we are.
I can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Australian Digital Capability Framework.
Yes, welcome back.
We've been talking all about the 5 key areas of digital capability.
We have.
And I think one of the most interesting things that has come up for me
Mm-hmm.
is this idea that digital capability isn't like a binary.
What do you mean?
Like, it's not like you're either good at technology or you're not good at technology.
Right.
It's more like a spectrum.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of at different points on that
It's a
spectrum.
journey,
Right.
not a destination.
And we're always learning and growing.
That's right. And that's why the framework really emphasizes the importance of lifelong learning
Okay.
in the digital space.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because technology is always changing.
It is constantly evolving.
So how does this idea of lifelong learning actually kind of play out in the framework?
Well, it's actually woven throughout all 5 of those focus areas.
Okay.
But let's maybe take a closer look at technical proficiency and problem solving.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one we just finished talking about. So
Right, yeah.
remind me again, what was that all about?
So this is the area where we go beyond just using technology to
Okay.
actually understanding how it works.
Right.
It's about being able to troubleshoot problems, explore new technologies,
Yeah.
even use digital tools to innovate and create.
Okay, so where does the lifelong learning piece fit into that?
Well, imagine someone who's at a pretty basic level in this area.
Okay.
So they can do things like connect to Wi-Fi or restart their computer. But maybe anything more complex feels really daunting.
I've been there.
We all have, right?
Yeah.
So how do they take that next step?
How do they move beyond that?
That's where that lifelong learning mindset comes in.
Right.
So maybe they start by watching a tutorial online
Yeah.
about how to install a new software program,
Yeah.
or they read an article
Uh-oh.
about basic computer troubleshooting.
So it's about being proactive,
Yeah, they're actively seeking out.
not waiting for someone to teach you.
Exactly.
Yep.
New knowledge and skills.
Cool. So then as they gain experience,
Yeah.
what might they do?
Well, they might start attending workshops,
Oh, yeah.
taking online courses,
Mm.
or even joining online communities
Oh, cool.
where they can connect with other tech enthusiasts.
So it's like finding that community of support.
Right, and learning from others
Okay.
who are further along on their digital journey.
And then I guess those people who are further along can also be teaching and helping.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It becomes this like ripple effect. I like that.
You know, as people learn and grow,
Yeah.
they become more confident in their ability to help others.
So it's like digital pay it forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And the framework really encourages this
Okay.
at all levels.
So even those people who are like really advanced,
Even at the very top.
they're still learning and
Yeah.
teaching.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's really not about reaching a certain level and being done.
No.
It's about
It's
constant.
about embracing that constant evolution
Yeah.
and pushing yourself to keep learning and growing.
Okay, so I think for our listener who's been on this journey with us, what's like the one key takeaway?
I think the most important thing to remember is that digital capability is within everyone's reach.
Okay.
It's not about being a tech genius.
Right.
It's about embracing that journey
Mm-hmm.
of lifelong learning
Okay.
and finding joy
Yeah.
in exploring this ever-evolving world
Yeah.
of technology.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So find those areas where you'd like to grow.
And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way.
Absolutely.
There's a whole community out there
There is.
ready to support you.
So go out there and create and connect and discover.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Australian Digital Capability Framework.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring, sharing.